Today's episode is going to be a little bit different. If you haven't listened to episodes number 9 and number 44 yet, I suggest you go back and do so. They will really help ground you in today's episode. Together, we're going to practice walking through the process of notice, discern, and respond. I'm Jem Fadling, and it's time for I Can Do That. Notice, discern, and respond, or NDR. Now, these are three simple words, and yet they take time and intention. Today's episode is going to be like a mini workshop. I'm not just going to chatter away at you today. Instead, you can take action on a thought right now as we move through this together. Once you get the hang of NDR, it can become a really good friend that helps you redirect your thinking. So get out a piece of paper or your journal. Feel free to hit pause whenever you need to so you can engage my instructions. But for now, let's begin with notice. It's important to begin with the practice of noticing. Simply become aware of the voices and the thoughts in your head. You don't have to judge them, and you don't have to hide them or hide from them. Simply notice and acknowledge them. This is about bringing these voices into the light and not letting our thoughts remain unconscious and unquestioned. Don't be afraid to look within. Fear keeps us trapped, so try to become curious about yourself and your thoughts. Ponder for a moment. Try to capture one unhelpful thought that comes up for you often and write it down. Remember, you can pause if you need to. Examples might be this: why can't I get this right? If only they would change, things would be all better. I will feel okay once I get everything checked off my to-do list. So many things could go wrong. You can't lose control. My opinion doesn't matter, and I don't want to put myself out there. You can borrow one of these sentences or just come up with one of your own. Whatever you choose, just simply write it down. Now, under that sentence, write 2 or 3 more unhelpful statements that often accompany that first thought. I've noticed that unhelpful thoughts like to come in clusters sometimes. So when you're ready, circle the one thought that you'd like to work with right now. Once you've circled your chosen thought, we'll move on to discern. Now, discerning is about becoming more curious. Openness and honesty help here so that you can uncover what's going on. And discernment is the key to becoming a wiser and more confident person. It's also the precursor to more healthy responses. Some thoughts will shift easily and some will require more time. Either way, you can move toward responding. So go back now and look at the unhelpful thought that you circled. Reflect on the following questions as you continue journaling. Take your time, pause as you linger over each question, and remember again, you can pause this recording and return. So let's journal on each one of these. Remember, you're looking back at the thought that you circled in the notice section. So we'll ask this: how have I come to rely on this thought? What is it costing me to let this thought run the show? What is making it difficult for me to let go of this thought? What is the benefit of shifting to a more helpful thought? Now, once you have journaled your initial responses to these questions, look back over your answers. Make some notes in the margins. What do you notice? What's the most helpful here? And do you see any patterns? Once you've taken time to journal and you've made some notes, when you're ready, you can move to respond. Okay? Now, once you've spent some time discerning your thought, you can respond by practicing a new, more helpful thought. Rather than reacting, you can move through notice and discern into response. And again, process matters in this case, especially if you want to make lasting change. In the work of changing your thought, you can consider a reframe and a helpful shift that you would like to make. Now, this might happen quickly, or depending on how deeply this thought is anchored within, it might take a while, but either way, simply take the next step and keep going until you are engaging a healthy new pattern. Look again at your first chosen unhelpful thought. Now that you've spent a little time in discernment, see if you can come up with a new, more helpful thought. Remember, this is a practice moment, not a perfection moment. Simply come up with a good first draft of a new thought. It can be edited, and you can always add more thoughts later. So write down a new, more helpful thought that might replace that first unhelpful thought. And here are some samples based on the unhelpful thoughts that I listed for you earlier. Maybe this will help you. So if the thought is, why can't I get this right? Well, maybe that could become something like this. Well, so I didn't get it right the first time. Condemning myself isn't helping me right now. It's actually okay to keep trying until I improve. I'm going to give myself the grace to try again. Do you see how that thought, those few sentences strung together, are helpful? Instead of saying, why can't I get this right, which is quite condemning, you could grant yourself grace instead. Let's try this one. If only they would change, things would be all better. Well, that might become this train of thought. I can learn to not give all the power to others. My well-being doesn't rest on other people's behavior. See how that could be a little more helpful than waiting for someone else to change. I get to decide that I can have a healthy boundary. Okay, I hope you're hearing my heart here. I'm not talking about a Pollyanna way of thinking, not at all. We're just talking about taking unhelpful thoughts and turning them on their head. And I know it's not that easy. It seemed easy right now because we were just walking through, but it does take time. It's okay for it to take time. This is about telling ourselves the truth. Critical, shaming, or numbing thoughts do not help us mature the way we desire to. So we're simply becoming more aware of our thoughts so that they don't run the show and keep us from engaging life like the way we want to. The practice of NDR is all throughout my forthcoming book, Hold That Thought. And today is just a little taste of NDR. Okay, for more on all of this, be sure to pre-order the book today at unhurriedliving.com/holdthatthought. And remember, when you do so, you're going to get a bunch of free goodies from me. Remember, if you've listened to the last couple of episodes, you're going to get 7 digital art cards with all 7 voices on there, 3 coaching videos from me, a free month of Replenish beginning September 12, 2 whole digital chapters of the book so you can get in there before other people do, and a private Facebook group where I'll share early insider info. So pre-order my book today at unhurriedliving.com/holdthatthought. Now, here's your I can do that for this week. If you just listened to this episode to get an overview, I encourage you to set aside 15 minutes later today or at least this week so that you can engage this for real. Get out your journal and listen to my voice and give yourself the gift of learning to notice, discern, and respond to your thoughts with grace and with agency. Remember, you're making your way forward one small, simple, and gracious step at a time.